welcome to part 2B of Shooby Dooby Doo-Wop, a podcast where we talk about pop music. We're halfway through our deep dive of the UK Top 10 Singles chart of the 7th of March 1966. My name is Andy Robinson.
And my name is James Cook.
Well, James, we seem to be halfway through of let's not call it a deep dive, let's call it a metaphysical exploration of the top 10 singles. Should we recap what we've gone through so far?
Metaphysical exploration?
Yeah, that's
You've
what
been
I'm
reading
claiming.
books again.
I've been reading them darn books. Up 11 to number 10, it's Make the World Go Away by Eddie Arnold.
Melodramatic main character syndrome set to music.
Down 5 to 9, You Were On My Mind by Crispy and St. Peters.
I don't think he's actually a better songwriter than the Beatles, no matter what he said.
Down 2 to number 8, it's Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass with Spanish Flea.
Makes you feel like you're in a 1960s sitcom.
Up 8 to number 7, Hey, Gene Pitney's Backstage.
Ooh, isn't it horrible being a pop star?
Up 2 to number 6, it's Ba 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 Ran by the Beep 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 Beach Boys.
Titting around with Dean, an ashtray and a pencil.
All the songs featured, as usual, can be found on our Spotify and YouTube playlist. Links in the description. Always like to give you a little nudge to remembering to listen to them if we can.
And members of our Patreon community can get access to our special bonus tracks podcast. Half a dozen notable songs that are in the chart but aren't in the top 10.
Or never made the top 10, James. That's what we do in the Patreon.
Yeah, that's right. They never get there. Now, not only will you be helping this podcast continue, you'll also get to hear moments of brilliance like these.
No man is better than I, and then he goes, I'm just an average guy. And I think, well, if you're just average, then some men are better than you, aren't they, Steve? But nonetheless,
That's how averages work, mate. Just feels like, come on, 1966, where are you? Why are you buying Crispy and St. Peters when you could be buying this?
I know I've loved this record, James, for a long time. I thought I'd stick this on the playlist, mainly to see if me and you could be friends.
Why? Why is this the test?
Yeah.
Whether I like this song or not?
Yeah.
I hated this song. Join our community now at patreon.com/ShoobyPodcast.
Number 5.
Up 2 places to number 5, it's Sha-La-La-La-Lee by the Small Faces.
Yes, again, I've known this record for years. I feel a certain futility in talking. Mind you, some people might not have heard it. Check it out on Spotify playlist or watch the video on our YouTube playlist.
When this starts, it comes in like a thundering
Doesn't it?
herd of horses,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Well, it's such a simple song, isn't it? It's a simple rock song.
Let's do it. I haven't worked the chords
Rock and roll.
out, but I imagine it's a 3-chorder from my ears, so he's going sort of, I think it's in E. Yeah, E, A and B. Sha-la-la-la-lee. Chordally, at least, always like to point this out, just because the chords are simple, there's loads of skill and beauty and joy going on, but the building blocks are pretty standard as you get. Who wrote this song? One of my favourite facts. I said,
Go on, then.
It is the incredible entertainer Kenny Lynch, if you remember him.
Yes. Not just Kenny Lynch, though. Also, Mort Schumann has a...
Of Palmerston Schumann fame.
I guess so.
Yeah,
He
like
wrote
man.
Teenager in Love, Save the Last Dance for Me, Can't Get Used to Losing You, Viva Las Vegas, Sweets for My Sweet.
Really?
Yeah, he's also got a writing credit
So
on
you
it.
wrote this with Kenny Lynch?
I think Kenny Lynch wrote it and then Schumann did some polishing.
I believe he wrote the words Schumann more often than not, but nonetheless, here we are. I might have made that up. Please email us into shoobypodcast@gmail.com if you know any facts. Or if you just want to be passive-aggressive to us about our stupidity.
You can imagine how this song would have sounded with a more insipid band,
Yeah.
can't you?
Yeah.
A bit more happy clappy and Muzak-y.
I learned on YouTube that the band themselves hated it and thought it was a Walt Disney song, essentially.
Yeah.
You know...
Basically, their debut single, What You Gonna Do About It, had been a sort of a bit of a minor hit. And then their second single didn't chart.
Yeah.
And it was like, you need a hit. You need a hit, guys. So their manager, Don Arden, who is
King of Caravans?
the father of Sharon Osbourne.
Who was King of Caravans in that old cinema?
don't know.
It's from the 70s.
Okay.
Don Arnold, King of Caravans.
So he commissioned the song, and he said he wanted it to sound a bit like Doo-Wah Diddy.
Yeah.
Because Doo-Wah Diddy had been a huge hit for Manfred Mann.
Nonsense lyrics,
Yeah.
catchier chorus you can just sing along to.
Yeah, so they come up with Sha-La-La-La-Lee. Small Faces hate it, but they give it everything in the recording,
They
don't
really
they?
do.
You could give them Agadoo to sing, and the Small Faces would make it sound amazing.
It's certainly an element to that, and to bring them in since they're not in the top 10, the Beatles, when they were forced to have a go at How Do You Do It during the Pacemakers, they said, I think George Martin said, this is a hit. The recording of that is out and about now, and it sounds insipid. It sounds like they're not into it. It sounds like they don't really want to do it. You cannot throw that accusation at the Small Faces with this tune. It knocks your head off.
And it is a huge hit. It gets number 3. So
Yep.
well done them. They do go on to have a number 1.
Kitschkoo Park?
No, it is All or Nothing.
Cool. Another great song with, again, the same spirit. I mean, Steve Marriott, I believe, according to YouTube comments, is 19 when he sings this song. So that's amazing, isn't it? The guitar solo is tremendous. It's got a real force to it.
Stevie Marriott in this sings how I imagine I sing, but I know I sound like David Brent when I sing.
Yeah, maybe. Terrible Death, he had Steve Marriott,
Yeah.
of course. Should we mention that, or should we check? They'll be back. So let's not get it. We're having a nice time in 1966. Someone, again, we like to mention this, don't we? Occasionally, a song will become a football chant.
Oh, well.
The fans of Manchester City, I guess, must have adopted this, according to Monty F2K5 at least. What player do you think sounds a little bit like Sha-la-la-la-lee?
Would that be Franny, Franny, Franny Lee or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, lyrically, it's quite simple.
Yeah.
I think there's some things that are open to interpretation.
Go on, I'm all ears.
We went someplace, I don't know.
I like that line. I think it's got that's a little touch of what I'm going to say is not typical about it, just a little throwaway. He's so happy and ecstatic with this girl, he doesn't know where he is.
Don't know where he is. And at the end, want to know how the story ends? We invited a few close friends. So what's happened there?
Absolutely, they've all thrown their car keys in a bowl and they're having a great time. Sha-la-la-la-lee.
Oh, it was wedding. But no, you might be right. Probably right. Probably is. That was the 60s after all.
66 having a nice wedding, you joking?
Nah.
Number 4.
Up one to number 4, it's Petula Clark with My Love.
The song that kept Barbara Ann off the top of the American charts, because this was a US number 1 for Petula.
I wasn't particularly digging this song this week, I have to say.
It's one of the most Eurovision songs I've ever heard, isn't it? If you'd said, oh, this is France's entry into the 1966 Eurovision Song Contest, you go, yeah, sounds a bit like it.
Apparently, again, on YouTube comments, Petula Clark didn't particularly care for it either, but there it is in the top 10, so she must have been pretty happy with it. Hey, he's got Hal Blaine on drums, I learned on YouTube comment. That's pretty
It's
good.
the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, man, so there's that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I got to admit, with my terrible, let's call it rock snobbery, when I knew the Wrecking Crew would play on it, I gave it more of a chance.
Petula Clark tried to discourage the record company from releasing it. She went up to A&R man Joe Smith. She said, "He's a very small man physically, about the right height for me. I was able to get hold of his lapels and I said to him, Joe, I don't care which of the 3 songs you put out, but just don't put out My Love." And he said, "Trust me, baby." And then he did. And then it was a US number 1. So
Yeah.
Written and produced by Tony Hatch.
He was on New Faces. He wrote the Crossroads theme, is the fact that people love about Tony Hatch, isn't it?
And the Neighbours theme. He was on a flight from London to Los Angeles. They were going to record a song called The Life and Soul of the Party. And he was telling an American, this is the name of the song we're doing. And they said, Americans won't know what that means.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
He said it would be meaningless to the American public. So he wrote...
My Love.
He wrote, he went, okay, what's a thing that Americans will understand? My Love? All right, we'll do that then.
I like that idea. If you've got a title that, as a comedian, I don't want to keep going on about it, but sometimes people say to me, no one knows what the reference is, and they don't understand it, and a bit of me thinks, well, I'll learn it then, or they'll hear it for the first time, so I don't know.
The lyric goes, "My love is warmer than the warmest sunshine."
Yes, pretty warm.
Yeah, according to the World Meteorological Organization, the highest registered air temperature on Earth was 56.7 degrees Celsius, that's 134.1 degrees Fahrenheit, in Furnace Creek Ranch, California, in Death Valley, on the 10th of July 1913.
Great fact. Did you know that, or did you Google it?
No, that's just the thing I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the love is warmer than that.
Yeah.
It's softer than a sigh, which is around 30 decibels. It's deeper than the deepest ocean, Andy. That's, of course, the Challenger Deep in the Marianas Trench in the Pacific Ocean. It's around about 10,935 metres deep. So it's deeper than that. It's wider than the sky. Well, I mean, you got to define your terms here, really. The depth of the Earth's atmosphere is about 300 miles. But if you mean just wider than space, space is infinite.
Yeah, I get you.
And it's brighter than the brightest star. Well, if you don't include the sun, which of course is a star, then that would be the dog star Sirius. That would be the bright star. In the
So what we're
sky.
saying there, Petula Clark, while she's talking about her love,
Yeah.
is a bullshitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full of it.
Full of it, Petula.
Yeah. And also, right, so I get, it's warmer than the warmest sunshine. Okay, love being hot, that's a good thing. Love being big is a good thing.
This. I like it, James.
But also, my love is softer than a sigh. Is that a good thing? My love for you is so soft. Is that an appealing thing?
I suppose it depends who's saying it and what context, let's say, especially these days. I mean, Austin Roberts on YouTube says, she proved you can be in show business without being a drug addict or dying of an overdose.
Literally everyone else in show business is dead.
She's the only person in show business, James. It wasn't a drug addict and hasn't died of an overdose. Also in the video, get this, 2 or 3 people saying she dances like a Thunderbird puppet, which, unnecessary, I thought. A little bit of cruelty.
Are the Thunderbird's movements based on Petula Clark?
Could be that. James. Yeah, good point. All right, then, also on YouTube, get this. Palik8253 says, the overwhelming rhythm and sound like a tsunami. Now, I didn't pick that up from this record, or did you? But again, it's all in the ear of the beholder, I guess.
Yeah, when I heard it was American #1, I was surprised. If you'd have said German, I would have gone, yeah.
There's a great clip of her singing it on the Ed Sullivan Show, as with spoiler alert, there's a few clips of this week's Top 10 on the Ed Sullivan Show. Always nice to see, and a nostalgic, Americanized version of something, isn't it?
Number 3.
A non-mover at number 3, A Groovy Kind of Love by the Mindbenders.
Hey, Petula Clark covered this, I read in YouTube comments, just to give it a little bit of a continuation, as they say.
Yes, as did Phil Collins, famously, from the movie Buster in the 80s. This in itself is a cover version. The song, lyrics by Carol Bayer Sager, who was 22, and Tony Wine, who was 17. Tony Wine would be the female singer in the Archies, and also she's really well known in America, or at least her voice is, because she is the voice of the Meow Mix TV commercial, which is just a cat going meow, 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 meow. That's Tony White. Anyway, she wrote the lyrics to this.
She also wrote Sugar Sugar, I learned on YouTube, just to chuck that in while she was, let's call it, fronting the Archies.
Music based on Sonatina Opus 36 No. 5 by Muzio Clementi, an Italian composer born in 1752 and a contemporary of Mozart. But unlike Mozart, he died in Evesham.
Pretty unlike Mozart. Hey, this is one of the songs with the key changing that I mentioned. So, I've done both of them now. Mm-hmm. Good old key change. A little subtle one, that is. I almost didn't spot it on first listen.
Carol and Tony said this song took 20 minutes to write, which I suppose is easier if you're just nicking it off an old classical record.
You certainly have some, let's call it, building blocks to help you.
And it was first recorded by Diane and Anita.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Anita is Annita, so I'm assuming that's how you say it rather than Anita.
Right.
What is different about their version?
I do not know.
They spell groovy with an E.
A groovy kind of love.
Yeah,
all right, then.
That's right.
Well, I've got into this record. I also, again, looked at the YouTube. Didn't I? There's a great clip of the Mindbenders singing it. Now, do you know who the lead vocalist is on this?
Yes, I do.
Go on, tell me about
Eric Stewart.
Eric Stewart from the 10cc.
Later of Hot Legs and 10cc.
Now,
it's not Wayne Fontana.
It's not Wayne Fontana. What I liked about it, James, when I was looking to have a look at YouTube clips later, there was a version from the 70s of Wayne Fontana singing this song. So they obviously had the hit without him. And Wayne Fontana did what I like to call a Sugar Babes. When they reformed, they thought, someone else sung it, I did with it, but my name's on it. I'm going to sing it pretty good. Why wouldn't you?
Do you know what happened with Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders?
No, I'm interested.
Because they'd had a hit with The Game of Love.
Which is a great record.
And then Wayne Fontana flounced off mid-gig. He left the band during a concert.
Really?
Yeah.
Because, you know why?
Some kind of
musical
strop.
differences, let's call it.
Well, Eric Stewart said, all we lost was our tambourine player. Yeah. Wayne had been threatening to leave the band for some time, and drummer Rick Rothwell had reached the end of patience with his groaning and moaning. Rick was urging him to take his ego trip and piss off.
Maybe Wayne should have joined Crispy and St. Peter's, and they could have been both bigger than Elvis and better than the Beatles and all that. All right, that's all right, though. That happens, doesn't it? The ego of the performer. Why not?
Fontana slings his up. They record this. It sells 1 million copies.
And then he comes back in the 70s to sing it around the provincial working men's clubs and claim it's his. I'm all for it, really. It doesn't matter, does it? So what?
It's a beautiful song, this. I really like it.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Go on. Did you like the Phil... Let's call it children of the 80s, 90s, James.
Yeah.
Did you like the Phil Collins version when it came out?
Not particularly.
So this one has done it for you this week?
I don't know. Even though this is also a cover version, there's more sort of an authenticity to it. Maybe because it's in the 60s when the word groovy...
What do you mean authenticity? Go on, I like this conversation. What do you mean? Do you mean
I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? I think authenticity sometimes just means old or the first person who did it. Now, you would say the Mindbenders, as we've alluded to, it's not a cover version. So, you know this, James. I'll always pick up on when people say it's authentic. So I think, what do you mean? What do you mean by it?
It sounds like a rock and roll group doing a rock and roll song.
Yes.
Not a bloke doing it for a film soundtrack.
I get you. And you saying there's an inherent authenticity in that rather than the latter? Yeah, let's say so.
Yeah, why not?
Just to get off the subject.
I'm not having a go at Phil Collins' version. I just thought it was
yeah, okay.
fine. But listening to this week has made me re-examine the song.
Great. I like it when that happens. It's such a pretty melody, isn't it? Depending where it come from. The sentiment of the lyrics are so simple, really, and they stick in the cranium forever. Like I say, I'm being a bit of a nine.
What is a groovy kind of love?
It's a groovy kind of love, I suppose. A little bit like Nile Rodgers and what we've been alluding to. I like this song. I suppose it's up to you to find your own groove, isn't it? I don't know. What do the Mindbenders claim it is? Let me think. I think the lyrics off the top of my head are you a little bit like corduroy or a ribbed condom. It's a groovy kind of love. I think that's right.
Well, according to the lyrics,
yeah.
is when I'm feeling blue, all I have to do take a look at you. Then I'm not so blue.
I mean, it's lovely. The simplicity is disarming.
When you're close to me, I can feel your heartbeat. I can hear you breathing near my ear. Ah! Not an ASMR podcast. Wouldn't you agree, baby, you and me got a groovy kind of love?
Yeah. I don't know what it means.
It means you're like in the 60s and you're hippies and you're going peace man and you've...
It's also, thinking of it...
Flower power.
It also implies that there's a kind of shared agreement between the two lovers, baby, you and me, we agree. It kind of doesn't matter, does it? As long as them two people think it's groovy, baby.
I've got a gravy kind of love. Just fucking love gravy.
Number 2.
A non-mover, number 2-ver. It's the Rolling Stones with 19th Nervous Breakdown. One of the first examples, James, I'm going to say, with my preconceptions of what 1966 might sound like, of something that actually came true. This is rocking, isn't it? This is weird little dark song.
It is. It's a very specific nervous breakdown, isn't it? The 19th.
Yeah.
You'd think after the first 18 you'd be used to them by now.
Yes, I like the alliteration of it anyway. I can absolutely understand why they choose the word 19th before they have a nervous breakdown. It's pretty... I mean, again, I think it's about... Is it time for my Jagger and Richards theory? Let's do it. Okay. I have this thing with Jagger and Richards when they wrote songs. Is apparently their manager, Andrew Luke Oldham, in, let's call it 63, 64, let's say, he made Jagger and Richards write some songs. Now, Lennon and McCartney, arguably, they bonded because they both wrote songs together. They had that interest. And I find it interesting that even though Jagger and Richards were forced to, they'd never wrote a song in their life before. They just did blues covers, R&B covers. Yet seemingly, being forced to do it, they wrote some brilliant songs, obviously. Hey, stay tuned to Shooby Dooby podcast for more insight. Like the Rolling Stones, we've got some good songs. And join our Patreon one where I'll talk about that for ages.
I mean, this is nearly 4 minutes long.
Yeah, again, unusual.
This is an epic by 1966 standards.
Yep.
It's the 6th biggest selling single of the year. Do you know what the number 1 was in 1966?
Of 1966, let me have a guess. Year. Because of the recent Grammys and this, that and the other, I imagine it's, I don't know, Frank Sinatra, Judy Garland, someone square. You would not square because they're both great, but someone out of fashion, let's say.
A little bit.
Go on, give me a clue. Give me one of those clues that I can't work out, because then I'm so delighted when you give me one of your little cryptic clues.
It's a song all about someone who's about to be killed.
Is it the Ballad of Billy Joe or whatever?
No.
What? Which song?
The Green Green Grass of Home.
Yeah, fair enough.
By Tom Jones.
Because he's about to be executed.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right then.
Anyway, we're not talking about that song. Apparently this is about the stresses of touring.
Really?
Yeah. Mick Jagger said, we had just done 5 weeks of hectic work in the States. And I said, this is his quote. And I said, don't know about you blokes, but I feel about ready for my 19th nervous breakdown. I imagine that's exactly how he said it.
He said it.
Yeah. Hey, blokes in the Rolling Stones. I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm about to have a 19th nervous breakdown.
Well done you, James Cook, for avoiding every trope of everybody else who's ever tried a Mick Jagger impression. You liked it. You didn't even go near anything.
No, I think secretly that's how he talks.
Okay.
I think everything else is an affectation.
How do you think Frank Spencer talks in reality?
Ooh, Betty.
I get you. Right. Massive. Again, you're another talent we never saw. Can do some music because this one excited me a little bit this week rather than a lot of 3-chord songs essentially. And let's face facts, when I can't work out a song, James, I just never mention it. So when it's too complicated, so I go for this. I go for the sweet spot of very simple and something like that. But anyway, it's in E. You've got that kind of whatever's going on. Now I like Keith Richards. That's the riff. You recognise that? Yeah, that's ticking away through it, as opposed to what Keith Richards did for the rest of his career, which was very subtle difference between and anyway.
They both remind me of Grandstand.
Maybe it's the way I'm playing it. Whatever the other riff is doing, Brian Jones is going, which on its own sounds a bit like Steptones, doesn't it? Weird, but put them.
It's Steptones and Grandstand together.
And
there is, song is.
And there is the magic of the Stones. I mean, other people talk about their deep rooting in blues mythology, but we've worked it out. Also, there's a brilliant bit at the end when they go in the riff, and then you hear just Bill Wyman dive bombing essentially on bass going at the end. It's a treat. I think the words are great. I think the melody's great, and it's a rocking.
Mick Jagger said, "People say I'm always singing about pills and breakdowns, therefore I must be an addict. This is ridiculous." In 1967, Mick Jagger would be arrested for drug possession.
I love Mick Jagger. No doubt, this is the first time we've mentioned Rolling Stones in the top 10, isn't it?
Yeah.
We haven't
first time they've come up.
We haven't done a Beatles top 10 at all yet. They continue to lurk around, of course. What do you make of Mick Jagger?
I'm always reminded of John Mulaney's routine about meeting Mick Jagger.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Where he goes, "How are you supposed to relate to him? He's Mick Jagger. Yeah. That's his name." And then you go, yeah, he's just lived this. He is the archetypal rock star. He was like the first one of that kind of rock star, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, of course, Elvis was like seen as a rebel and everything like that, but Mick Jagger was properly anti-establishment.
Yeah. For a long time, wasn't it? And I think he accepted some awards and all this later, which maybe you could say part of this. I don't care. I love Mick Jagger. I mean, he puts himself out there. Did you ever see the show when, I can't remember what it is, but essentially it was the Rolling Stones talking about themselves. So it's like 4 Rolling Stones programs, and they all talked about what it's like to be them. Pretty good it was. But someone pointed out, and I kind of love the fact that you put this in that program as well, because I thought it showed a great lack of ego. Someone was saying, well, the thing is, when you watch Mick Jagger, he's just dancing like a child, really. And then they showed loads of clips of him kind of getting all excited, as you can imagine. I thought, yeah, that's a great shout, that is. This kind of Mick Jagger, when he's out there performing to 80,000 people, he's behaving like a 4-year-old. He's just had too many sweeties or something. I thought, yeah, that's a great shout.
He's a rock toddler.
He's a rock toddler.
That's what he is.
And, and let's face facts, there he is doing 1 3/4 shows at his age, still phenomenal. He doesn't look old or out of it.
He's big on the health and fitness now, isn't he? He does loads of yoga and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I remember like in about 1981, whenever they did what album that was, Still Life a thing, and you saw everyone having a go at him in 1981 for being too old. Here we are, however many years later, nearly 50, and he's kind of better than he used to be. He's a phenomenon. Thanks, Mick, for everything you've done. I love you.
So the lyric, "You're the kind of person you meet at certain dismal, dull affairs. Centre of a crowd, talking much too loud," and you think, yeah, I know that person.
I've apologised about that one.
Running up and down the stairs.
Like
hello.
Hello.
Are they 4 years old as well?
Yeah. Mick Jagger's at some kindergarten hanging around.
Mick, stop running up and down the stairs. You've had some squash and you're getting excited.
Apparently, I learned off YouTube this song was inspired by Substitute by The Who. I don't know who knows that or how they're privy to that information, but a few people also mentioned Here Comes Your COVID-19 Nervous Breakdown. That was a blast from the past, James. I kind of liked.
See what they've done there. Allegedly, the song alludes to Jagger's relationship with Chrissy Shrimpton. All the stuff about your mother who neglected you owes $1 million tax, and your father's still perfecting ways of making sealing wax.
I love that line. I don't quite know what it means, but that sprung out the first time I heard it.
Can you think of another song that mentions sealing wax?
Sealing wax, great shout. Is it? Go on, give me a clue. Give me a clue.
This is off the top of my head, and I might be wrong. Is it in Puff the Magic Dragon?
Yeah.
They talk about sealing wax.
Yeah.
In that. He's definitely in The Walrus and the Carpenter, which is a poem in Alice's Adventures Through the Looking Glass.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, when I ever heard sealing wax, I always thought it was wax that you put on your ceiling.
Yeah.
But it isn't. It's wax for sealing letters like in the olden days.
Of course, what it means.
Yeah, no, I thought it was wax that went on the ceiling.
You're not the only person. There's a great lyric video on YouTube that the Stones put out a few years ago. It's kind of trippy. If you have it on the screen in the dark, as I was when I was watching it, you feel like you're going down time tunnel. Pretty good. I'll give it out. And then a couple of, let's call it mansplainers on YouTube, told them they'd spelt sealing wax wrong, and they did it with your initial thought. They said, actually, you'll find it's... they didn't know it was Sealing anyway. Stupid Americans. voting for whoever they voted for. I'm trying to say apolitical, James. What do you make of that?
Apolitical what?
Political lightweight. I mean, as I say, like 1966 is it's a bit punk, isn't it? It's a bit metal. I liked it in this. I imagine this week's top 10 would be kind of harder hitting than it is. So I liked a little bit of representation of that at least this week.
The UK's number 1.
It's a non-mover at number 1. 6 million sales worldwide for These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra. Her third of 4 weeks at the top of the chart.
Yes, again, if you listen to it on the Spotify top 10 playlist that we always like to mention, I liked it. It's in the same key as 19th Nervous Breakdown. It's sort of the same tempo, and it just felt like an extension. It felt like a great medley to me hearing it. I've never heard it in that context, but nonetheless, I love this song for years and years and years anyway.
What kind of boots are not made for walking?
That's a good point. Orthopedic boots.
Ski boots.
Yeah.
You know, those boots that they wear when they're having foot surgery.
Yeah, okay.
Baby boots.
Yeah. Right.
So it's none of those she's wearing.
No.
It could be literally any other kind of boot.
It's always a little...
The chemist boots.
That's certainly not for walking.
Not made for walk. Well, sometimes they have a walk-in, like, pharmacist.
So those boots are made for walk-ins?
Yeah.
All right, well done, Nancy. Saw ahead. I mean, the whole boots made for walking thing... As a young man, and even now actually, it's got a little S&M, it's got a little kinkiness to it, hasn't it, when a woman sings it? Imagine if a man sung it, it'd be very different, I think.
Well, it's funny you should say that, of course. Written and produced by Lee Hazelwood, who was going to sing the song himself, but Nancy Sinatra pointed it out that it would sound harsh and abusive.
Yeah, great shout, Nancy. I mean, you know, again, it's only a bit of poetry, it's only a song, isn't it? But I think it certainly gives it let's call it an extra layer of meaning when a sexy Sinatra is singing it.
The song was apparently inspired by a line spoken by Frank Sinatra in the comedy western film Four for Texas, IMDb rating 5.5. They tell me them boots ain't built for walking. Or, because there are conflicting stories about where it comes from, or Lee Hazelwood said he was in a Texas bar when some patrons started razzing an older guy about his younger girlfriend and how she controlled him. The man responded by putting his feet on a bar stool and saying, I know what you think, that she might be the boss, but I am the boss of my house, and these boots will walk all over her the day that I'm not.
Okay, well, there you go. This is another good reason why Nancy and Lee had a great discussion, I'm going to say. It's again a 3-chord. I mean, let's mention it. I kind of don't need to do it, but, you know, I like this. We've talked about, let's say, the craft of music and all that. What a brilliant... I mean, you know the intro. What a brilliant intro that is. It's a 3-chord song, essentially. It's not E, A, and B like whatever one I mentioned before was, whichever one we did. Four Faces, yeah. This is E, A, and G. So there's a little bit. I mean, again, it's unusual for 1966. Boots are made for walking. That's just what I'll do. That G it's got a kind of it's got a rock vibe to it. You know what I mean? That G as opposed to E, A, and B. If you're interested, at some point, James, when I talk about chords, I think I'm just shouting out letters, really, aren't I? You know what I mean? I could just be doing the alphabet, essentially. No one knows or cares.
Chuck Berghofer.
How dare you? Get out of it. What? Sorry.
He plays the double bass.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because it's the Wrecking Crew again.
Oh, really?
Our old friends. Yes.
Great. Did you watch the video?
Well, of course, this is one of the first music videos. This is an official music video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with Nancy in her white boots stomping around.
Okay, I saw a clip where maybe it's performance. What I liked about it, she had loads of, let's call it, attractive women dancing behind her. Nancy Sinatra, attractive, you know, so forgive my heterosexual ways, but I was digging watching it on a certain level. Anyway, underneath on YouTube, people were going, the one in blue or yellow, she's my grandmother. There was a lot of granddaughters of the go-go dancers. It was appealing. The woman in red dancing, I believe, as I learned on YouTube, was Terry Garr, who appeared in Superman.
Tootsie. She's in Terry Garr, and she plays Phoebe's mom on Friends.
There you go. My apologies. She wasn't in Superman. I just made that up. But she's Superman. I love the outro, let's call it.
Yes.
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
I think you could have done that for maybe 10 minutes and I would have been happy listening to it. But it's fleeting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like the song's nearly over, but wait, the Tijuana Brass have shown up.
Okay,
it's not the Tijuana Brass, but
no,
it's got that vibe, hasn't it?
It's so short. This one, listen to it on Spotify playlist. That'll give you 2.5 minutes of a treat. Beyonce recently sampled it for Ya Ya, I think, or something like that. I can't remember. But you kind of know this record again, don't you? Exposing the futility of this podcast. I love it. You know it. It's great.
It still gets played at office discos, or at least it did 10 years ago when I was DJing them.
Of course, it's a little stir, this song. I've seen people sing it karaoke. I've seen it played out and about at stupid late night tents in festivals. It always gets people going. It's got a magic.
It's one of those songs like We Are Family and 9 to 5, and it's like,
yeah,
get out of the way, men.
Absolutely.
This is not your time.
Absolutely. I like seeing all these grandmothers doing the pony to it. I think that was a dance.
I hope it was a dance.
Or a special video I clicked on. Look at Granny doing the pony. Not that video.
It's a very, very niche category, isn't it?
Yeah. I bet it exists though.
Oh,
Should we Google it? No.
Should
we put it on the YouTube playlist?
During the 1993 standoff in Waco, Texas, between David Koresh and the FBI.
I wasn't expecting this sentence. Go on.
The FBI played this record on a loudspeaker in an attempt to torment Koresh and his followers in hopes they would surrender. They probably just had a lovely disco.
Time. Thanks.
What sound could we play through our sound system to torture them? Let's play one of the most popular records of all time. Yeah! I like to imagine it was the only record they had, and that's why they had to do it.
All right, then. Say if someone had took you as part of a cult, James, and someone was trying to drown you out, what record would do it? You've mentioned that your least favourite record in the past is Fairground by Simply Red, so I'm guessing that's one of them. What other ones would drive you to distraction, do you think?
Oh.
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned how Rod Stewart's voice goes right through me.
Anything by him.
That's the thing. I don't hate Rod Stewart, but I think if I had to listen to his voice a lot, it would wear me down.
I get you.
What about you?
If we're going on sound of voice, Rufus Wainwright, I can only listen to him for a couple of songs before I start wanting to climb the walls. Anthony and the Johnsons, their voice really gets on my nerves and confuses me. But a song that always irritates me, I try and do this, James, a little bit. Brown Eyed Girl, I used to hate that song, right? And then I thought, do you know, I'll be hearing that all my life. Anyway, you just do that around the supermarket when you're walking here. So I've tried to learn to love these songs that irritate me, because I think it's going to be a difficult life sometimes, but that's my own madness, you know. Failing that, Savage Garden, Truly Madly Deeply. Listen back to the show we did from whatever year that was, 1996, let's
98.
say. Yeah, one of them. I had a lot of fun giving Savage Garden a kick in. So there we go. A top 10 from Check's Notes 1966, 7th of March. Just to remind you, what did you make of it, James, generally? Like I say, I've alluded to, it wasn't quite as countercultural as I was expecting, maybe, but that's my own stupid expectations.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of 60s big melodrama, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Early on, your Eddie Arnold, your Gene Pitney, your Petula Clark.
What was your favourite?
It's Sha-La-La-La-Lee by the Small Faces.
Really?
Yeah.
Straight away?
Yeah, I just think it's great. It comes in like a thunderclap.
I get ya.
Even though it's a song they don't like, they're giving it everything. They're committing to the bit.
Yeah. Which you're a big fan of. Also, it's a sports analogy, isn't it? Just because, you know, you got to do what you've got to do, as it were. Oh, great shout. I'm going to go for Crispy and St. Peter's because I wasn't familiar with it and I was digging it despite your turning your nose up right in front of my face as I'm expressing a preference. That's a sign. Is that a hate crime? I don't know. Let's say it is.
Yeah.
Hey, check out the Spotify playlist. As I say, you know, might make more sense of this either before, during or after, or at the end now, so it'll definitely be after. But, you know, a bit of music in your life's always good. Can't fault it.
And in our bonus tracks Patreon special, we've got a couple of soul classics that never get in the top 10 that'll make you go, what? Why? we've got one of the most sampled songs of all time, an Incognito Beatle, Kurt Vonnegut's favourite group, and Dirty Dancing.
That's intriguing. I mean, I'd listen to that myself if we didn't have to do it now. So, like I say, put this music on, have a little dance around, and please, whatever you do, don't forget to Shooby Dooby Doo up.
Bop bop shoo up.